Hello and welcome to our next tutorial. This here is my character, and I walk forward and I tump the building and it falls down and disappears. So this is what we did in class today, and there's a video online on multiple animations, and yeah, so most of that's there. So we've covered what's in this little thing here. Okay. So what I want to look at in this tutorial is time. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get this camera to follow my character as it does in Smashy City. So let's do that first of all, and then we want to display a clock counting down in one of the corners. So so let's get this to follow him first. So I'm just going to go always, and then a camera. Now what do I want to follow? I actually want to follow that box, and that box is called collision bounds ape. So select back my camera and I want collision bounds ape. What height do I want the box? Well, let's see what height it is now. So its location is XYZ, so it's 24. So we'll give it a height of say 22. And then this is sort of minimum maximum distance. So we'll give it say 26. And damping, we'll leave damping at 0.3. Now let's take this, and it's asking me what direction, what axis the camera should be on. And if I select this box, it's local orientation. If I go local, is the same as its global one, so it's Y positively that way. So we want to be Y positive. So we go back to global. So look through the camera, select the camera, and we'll say Y positive. P. Now, oh yeah, you gotta connect the bricks or they don't work. So P, and now as I walk around, the camera is tracking me. It's not quite exactly in the position I want it to be in, but you know, it's working. So I maybe make that 25. We'll make this 23, and this will be 30. Now, yeah, it's not that too bad. Okay, so that's not kind of what we're doing here, but it gives us our camera in place. So, how do we add time? Well, the first thing we need is a head-up display. So we're going to add a new scene. Oops, and we're just going to make a blank one. And in our blank scene, we're going to add a camera. There it is. And we're going to call this HUD, head-up display. Now, what are we going to put in our head-up display? Well, we want to put a bit of text in, and we're going to call this is going to be time. So before we start positioning that, we want to add it as a game object, that or a text game object that it can have yeah, that we can display, that can be dynamic, that'll change as we use it. Now I want to change my font, so well, first of all let's go edit mode and we'll go 00, and let's change the font. So let's click here, and I can go see Windows fonts, and I've got tons and tons of fonts, and Blender will preview the fonts for us and tell us what they should look like. This is the type of file is .ttf, true type font, so we'll just pick something simple, like that one there. And so there's my text. So I'm going to move this down, so I say -20 on Z. So there it is, and I'm going to position that G, and I'm looking through the camera, so when I press P, Oh, I'm in Blender Render, the Blender game, so go P, and there it is. That's fine. Now, how do I set up a clock? There is no clock in Blender that I know of anyway. I do not see a clock brick, but we can make a clock. So first of all, we want to change this from being a string to being an integer. Now we could make it a float, and time actually is a float. Time is, is a decimal. So an infinite amount of time between each each point in time. Or we can use timer. So timer is interesting. So let's select P. So there's our timer. So timer will count up. And we can use the timer as a very useful property, a useful tool. We're going to make it an integer. So press B, and we've got 0. And we're not going to use the timer. We could, but we won't. So let's make a clock. So how do we do that? So we're going to use an always sensor. And then over here, we're going to go property, add to text a value of 1. And if we do that every second, so there's 60 frames in a second, we've got a clock. So P. So now we've got a clock that counts up and is completely controllable. So so that's it, that's a clock. So I'm saying is true every 60 clicks, every 60 frames, which is 1 second, and then every second add 1. So now what I'm going to do is something a bit odd. I'm going to go add -1, so subtract 1. And then I'm going to go to edit mode here and make this, let's say, just for ease of use in this tutorial, we'll make that 20. So now press P. So I'm adding -1 every second, which is counting down. Okay, so now we've got a clock that is counting down. Excellent. So let's scale this up a little bit and position it there. A bit too big. Fine. Now, let's end our game if our property is, or if our time hits 0. So let's go property. So what property? If our text equals 0, what do we want to do? Well, we want a game actuator, and we want a quick game. Now that could be anything. So we could have, when we ran out of time, switch to the lose menu. So just for so we don't have to wait 20 seconds, I'm just going to make this 5 seconds, and then I'm going to press P. 3, 2, 1, and we've bounced out of the game engine because it quit the game when our time equaled 0. So that's how we make a countdown clock. Now what I want to do is go back to my level, and on this camera here I'm going to add always, and then I'm going to add a scene overlay. So I'm going to go to where's scene? There is scene, and I'm going to go add scene overlay, and I'm going to pick my head-up display. Excellent. Now let's play our game. P. So okay, so even though it's on the head-up display, it's bounced this out. Very good. So what I would like to do in my game is I'd like to make a pickup, a time pickup. So when I walk into it, I get more time. Okay, so let's do that. So 7 on numpad, and I'm just going to click over here. I'm going to create a cube. There it is, nice and small. And I'm going to go to the materials. Now we haven't done much of this. I'm just going to click new, and I'm going to make this green because there is a convention that says health is green. We'll call this health. And what we've done there is just made a material, and the material basically is the basic color and specularity, etc., of the objects. Okay, so all we need to do with this, we don't have to do anything at all. I mean, maybe we want it to spin, or you could put animations on it and stuff, but we just want to give it a property, and we'll call it health, which is very cunning because it's health. Okay, so there's my health. So this object here, it's not dynamic, there's nothing odd at all about it. It's just a static object that has collision. We'll give it collision bounds box, although we didn't need to do that, but let's do it. And all we've done in terms of logic is given it a property called health, and it doesn't matter what it is. Now let's add to this. This is our character, collision bounds. So we're going to say on collision. So if I collide with, so we'll call this health's pickup. Okay. So if I collide with something that has the property health, what do I want to do? Well, I want to send a message to my score, or not my score, my clock. Now, let's go have a look at what we did. We didn't name it, did we? So here's 5, and it's just called text. So we're going to call this timer. So now we know what it's called. So let's go back to my level 1, and let's go back to my logic bricks here. So if I collide with an object that has the property health, send the message to timer. And what's the subject? Well, we'll say pickup, because that's what we've done. We've picked up I just realised as I've been talking to you here, because I'm talking and doing it at the same time, I have referred to the timer pickup as being health, even though it just dawned on me there now. So health pickup is giving me more time. Well, let's rename that and call it time pickup, and let's call this time, and let's change this to time, because we will have one for health and it will work the same way. So when I walk into the thing that has time as its property, so here it is, I collide with something that has time, I'm sending a message to the timer saying pickup. So now let's go back to the head-up display and give this, put that in here. So we're saying when I receive the message pickup, what do I want to do? So this is more time. Well, I'm very simply going to go to property, and I'm going to go add to text, and then whatever I want my pickup to have, I can say 10. So we give it an extra 10 seconds. There we go. So we're going to say add 10 seconds. Okay. So now let's play our game, and hopefully 5 seconds is enough for me to get there. So I'm going to go P, I walk across here. Oh, I don't have enough time. So let's increase this from 5 to, not 510, to 10. So I just have more starting time. Okay, P, turn around and walk across, and when I collide with this, now I've gone 14 seconds, 22 seconds, ooh, 29 seconds, 48. Oh, every time I bump in, I've got loads of time. This is an amazing game. I'll never lose. So, what we want to say is, on collision with the player, end object. So I can only get this once. So we gave this collision bounds here. Oh, we didn't. We should have given this a property player. So when this has a property, when this collides with something that has the property player, delete itself. So P, I can walk over here, and there's my time pickup, but I can't go back and get it again because it doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so that's it. It's a relatively simple and straightforward tutorial, I hope. So I'm going to go save as, and we'll call this with timer, and you'll be able to get this file here on the college network and play around with it and have a look at the settings and the bricks, etc. And hopefully that makes sense. Thank you.